Rams in the 2-minute drill at the end of the first half, going to run a 3-level concept here to the field. You'll see some pressure over the right guard, forces Matthew Stafford to step up in the pocket, checks it down to the back. They get a 14-yard gain right here. They're also going to get a personal foul penalty. Extra 15 yards, gets them all the way down to the 14-yard line. Exceptional field position, except now they're in a trap situation. I'm Andrew Weidinger. I was a coach with the Atlanta Falcons and Tampa Bay Buccaneers for 11 seasons. In this video, we're going to take a look at this 2-minute drive by the Rams, and we'll talk about what exactly is a trap situation. So this drive starts with 1:05 on the clock. Rams have 2 timeouts, down by 3. First play of the drive, a true progression read. Tight end over the ball, Hitch on the outside, backside. They've got the clear and dig. Good combination on the front side, regardless of the coverage. They get single high coverage, safety buzzing down, one safety going back to the middle of the field. Both your OTB and your Hitch viable options against single high coverage. You can see with 2 hook curl defenders on the inside, this guy should be open in between them. Stafford takes a look, says, hey, that dime is hanging inside. This corner is off on the outside. I'm going to throw it to my best catch and run player in Puka Nacua and see what we can get. 8-9 yards, 50 seconds and counting now. And you'll see the Rams come out in a right formation. Y and Z to the right, F and X to the left. And it looks like the Rams do this all the time in the 2-minute drill. This is what we always did, Atlanta and Tampa. It's easy if your guys know the formation that the next play is going to come from in any hurry-up situation. So as soon as somebody gets tackled, your 5 eligible receivers can start sprinting back into that formation, and all they have to hear is the play call. They can adjust their splits if needed from there, but they know the general vicinity of where they're going to line up. Helps eliminate one level of communication. What is the formation when time is a critical element? So here they're in the 2x2 to the right. They're going to run glance and wheel here into the boundary, a concept they love to run largely because they get coverages that it's good against a lot of these teams. And they're going to get what appears to be quarters here on this side. And Nacua, you can see, runs this thing as an in cut. He knows against quarters that this safety is going to drive on him. He needs to keep this route flat. If he takes it at any sort of angle, he's going to make it much easier for the safety to break that up. With this in-breaking route, they get what they want. The corner jumps it as well. Safety is low. Stafford knows this glance route was 1. Number 2 is the tight end on the wheel. This is the same exact play that they hit the game winner against Carolina with in that 2-minute drill. So here on this wheel route, tight end, good job, pushes vertical, runs out to the flat to set the hook. Nickel takes his eyes to the inside. All of a sudden, it goes from flat, turns into the wheel. Great job, great ball skills down the field, snatching that thing out of the air. Explosive gain across the 50. Clock is now down to 39 seconds. Rams have crossed the 50. They use one of those timeouts. Yeah, we've got a shot to get some points. Let's get this clock stopped. Let's see what we can do. Now they're going to come out, they're going to run both seams. Seams on the inside, semis on the outside. And you see how they get in these close splits right here. They're hoping that these close splits get the Bears out of their 3 stretch, out of a version of cover 3 that carries seams vertical and takes them away, and they check that and get into a version of cover 3 where the curl flat defender will widen and the corner will play it 2-1. You count it from outside in, 1, 2. He'll cheat to try to take away that seam, but he still has vision to 1. And the hope is that when 1 runs this quick-hitting, out-breaking route, it puts some indecision in the corner's mind and helps you open up that seam. They do not get what they want. The Bears stay in their 3 stretch coverage or Ripley's match, whatever it is you want to call it, and you'll see the nickel and dime are going to carry these seam routes vertical. So we've got seams running directly to get covered. They've got guys on their outside. They've got a help defender in the middle of the field, hook defender, one coming out of the sky, definitely in the window. This guy going to have to set an angle to the inside to beat a man defender on his outside. Another hook defender getting great depth here to the field. Stafford says, this is a bad look to throw both seam into. I'm going to check it down. They only get 4 yards on the play. There is some give and take in the 2-minute drill when you check the ball down. How many yards are we going to gain and how much time is going to come off the clock? It's always a dilemma. When you only get 4 yards like this, when you're watching it the next day, you're saying, I don't know that we really want to check that down. If you check it down, the back makes a guy miss, and all of a sudden you got 17 yards, you're saying, yeah, that's why we check it down. So what's right, what's wrong? It's really dependent on how the play shakes out, right? So with the 4-yard gain, Rams use their final timeout. Now we're down to 30 seconds. This brings us back to the very first play we took a look at. They motioned Nacua into the slot, used double cadence to see if there's any sort of blitz. We've got the bow out, we've got the post, and the 5 and in to build the 3-level route concept here on the perimeter. Again, we see the pressure coming off that right side. Stafford steps up, checks it down. This would be an example of, hey, that's a pretty good job on a check down. And because they get that penalty there, it stops the clock. So you can see 1st and 10, 18 seconds to go, no timeouts, ball on the 14-yard line. Good situation? No. Trap situation. So what is a trap situation? And in order to understand that, we've got to take a look at this situational sheet that we used when I was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And in Tampa, I was the game management coach for a couple of seasons. And according to our media guys, I was the very first coach in the history of the NFL to officially hold that title. Certainly not the first guy to do the job, but the first to officially hold that title, which interestingly enough hasn't done for me personally or professionally, but still kind of a fun fact, right? So let's take a look at this trap situation. Any snap at 32 seconds or less in the half, no timeouts, and you're already in field goal range. We would operate under the assumption in the 2-minute drill that our average play took 16 seconds. 6 seconds to run the play, 10 seconds to get reset back on the line of scrimmage and get the next play snapped. This is obviously a conservative estimate. I've seen teams go as fast as 12 seconds running something like a quick slant, sprinting on the line, clocking it as fast as they can. It certainly can be done. We base that 16-second number off of a lot of film watching and a lot of real-world data, though. As I continue to get long-winded about a trap situation here, I'm going to throw up this clip. 2012 playoffs, Falcons and Seahawks is my favorite trap situation of all time. I was with the Falcons. Seahawks are on our 11-yard line, 17 seconds, no timeouts, end of the first half. You'll see we get the sack and they come away with nothing. So, at 32 seconds, you're saying there's a chance that if we hit something in bounds, we've got to sprint, get back on the line of scrimmage, and that next play we run could potentially be the last play of the half. Obviously, less risky at 32 seconds than it is at 17 seconds, but the risk is real. There is a chance that if anything goes wrong, sack, penalty that causes a 10-second runoff, anything tackled in bounds, those could all end the half and you walk away with nothing. It's potentially a trap. All right, now let's jump in and we'll take a look at how this applies to this Rams game. Okay, 18 seconds on the clock, no timeouts. 18 seconds, absolutely enough time to run a play, run up, clock the ball, get reset, kick the field goal. But is it worth the risk? What are we really going to gain? Say we get 7 yards. Is that field goal a whole lot easier than that field goal for an NFL kicker? Probably not, and you've subjected yourself to significant risk. Now, with 18 seconds left on the clock, yeah, you should probably take at least one shot at the end zone. But it's really hard because this is essentially 3rd and extra long from the 14. And 3rd and long is hard enough as it is, but when you get into the red zone, it's even harder because you can't clear somebody out and run something in behind because there's no field to threaten these guys deep in. They know the back line is right here. They don't need to cover anything further than that. Really, really hard to have good plays when you get this tight. We also had the touchdown or throwaway rule saying if we got to that +8, trap situation didn't apply. We knew at the +8 we had good plays that we felt could actually score. Once you get outside of here, not a lot of good options. So the Rams are really just going to run time off the clock so that they can kick this field goal and keep the Bears from having any chance of getting anything of their own. First play, 4 verts from a 3x1. So you get a deep cross, you get the seam route, and go routes on the outside. And they're going to play to Tampa right here, and Stafford is going to take Adams here in the corner. No good options right here. You see he's going to sail this thing kind of high and outside to keep it away from that safety, that half-field safety coming off the hash there. He's just doing whatever he can, trying to give himself a chance, but really throwing the ball away. Second down now, 14 seconds left on the clock. As you're calling this play into the quarterback, you're telling him, hey, remind the guys, we're running this play, but if anything goes wrong, if we get tackled inbounds, we are sprinting back to the line of scrimmage to clock it. You don't want this to be a reactionary deal. You don't want to have to start yelling clock so guys start coming back. You want them to know before you ever run this play exactly what the next one is going to be so they can sprint back and you can conserve that time, because 14 seconds is certainly risky. So they're running smash here to the field. They got a post by number 3. I'm assuming this is a fade conversion against this press or cloud coverage. Bears playing a version of quarter, half. They've got man here on the outside. And what they're saying is, hey, we're going to put those 2 guys in man, and then you 10 are going to go play your own game over here. So we'll play our game in man. You guys go play your 10-on-10 version of quarter, half over there. And you'll see here, Adams going to come open. So why isn't the quarterback working Adams on this play? A couple of reasons. When they play that version of quarter, half with man on the outside, this guy becomes the de facto corner. The nickel is now the corner, and Adams is running an out-breaking route against a guy who has outside leverage. And to compound it, not only does he have outside leverage, but there's a chance that Adams is going to have to bring this thing friendly back to the quarterback so that he can get open and get separation away from that DB. If this thing gets tackled in bounds, Matt Stafford knows there's a good chance this half is over. Then he looks to the post and he sees the safety kicking to the strong side. He knows the post is a dead route and he has to put this fade in the air. There's also a good chance that as soon as Matt Stafford heard the play call, he knew exactly what he was going to do with this, and he was going to go to this tight end, and it was either going to be his guy can catch it or he's throwing it out of bounds. Now he's looking around. I don't think that is the case right here, because you can see he's kind of scanning the field looking for options, but ultimately sails it out of bounds knowing that's the safe play. Brings us to 3rd down and 9 seconds now. Again, this is 3rd and 10 on the 14-yard line. There is no good play here, and if you get tackled short, it's over. So it's touchdown or throwaway. In a situation like this, we would even have something where we would say something like, hey, we're going to run 4 verts, and you tell the quarterback, sail it. You don't tell everybody else sail it, but you're telling the quarterback, we want to get the time off the clock. We have the luxury of knowing we can get 5 seconds off this clock. So tell everybody to run 4 verts. You just take the snap, get your drop, and rip that thing out of bounds, and we'll kick the field goal. We might have to cover the kickoff, but they're not going to get a chance to kick a field goal of their own. It was way less risky, too, when we used to do this, because you'd kick off and they get the ball at the 20, 25-yard line. Well, now they can get it at the 35, and these kickers can kick it from the damn 50. So, yeah, it's a little bit more risky now than it was then, but right here, I think they're going with a 4 verts version of sail it. Stafford kind of looks around, buys a little time, throws it out the back of the end zone. Again, there are no good plays right here. There's no good options. The Rams essentially did a very good job of getting all the time off the clock so that they could kick this field goal. And when you get to the end of this game and it goes to overtime, you're really, really glad that you've got those 3 points, that you didn't risk it, because they end up going on to win and are able to advance to the next round.